time now for Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace and former Ottawa Senator Jason York.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the show. Brent Wallace alongside Jason York and Sean Simpson. Apologize for being a little bit tardy. Simmer was telling a story, and I don't even know what the ending is yet, so we'll get to it later, possibly. Good morning, boys.
Good morning.
Morning.
I don't want to even take any more time because we have him waiting, and I know he's got a busy day, which is why we're a little earlier. So let's just welcome right into the show one of the Ottawa's newest members, David Perron. Sir.
Morning, guys. How's it going?
Great. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for taking the time. I know it's the middle of summer and it's early, and I just appreciate you doing this. So my first question I have for you, David, is did you sign for enough money? After you buy Artem Zub a meal, then you buy Shane Pinto a meal, you probably have to buy a team dinner. Maybe you should have renegotiated.
Well, first of all, it's not too early for me. I think I'm on coffee number 3 or 4 already. I've been up since 5:30 with the kids and everything, so it's all good. That way, I think one team dinner might not be enough. We'll see how it turns out to be, but I'm hoping that obviously put that on the board early on in the year. We get some big wins early on, get the season started off the right way, and I'll gladly pick up the check on one of those dinners for sure, and then maybe one-on-one beers with Zub at some point to just kind of talk it out. And I don't know if he's got any interest or not to listen to my side of things, but we'll see what happens.
Well, Dave, the joke with Zub is I've heard from various guys that they love to know what this guy does. I guess he doesn't talk a lot, so maybe you'll be the first guy to figure out what this guy. He's one of those teammates that you're always wondering what he's thinking. But all that stuff happens. Everybody's making a big deal, but as soon as you walk into the room, guys are guys. Hockey guys are hockey guys. Personally, I think it just adds another story. It's probably going to make it easier for you to come in there, have a few laughs about it, and you move on.
Yeah, I think you're right. That way, hockey guys, we're a different breed in the sense that we can just move on really quickly. And I mean, it happens even in maybe not that aggressive of behavior, but it happens in practice where there's like fights and things like that, and guys go for lunch or beers, and people are talking about it for days in the media, and then guys in the locker room were literally just laughing about it, and people can't believe that it's actually what's happening. So, and it does happen quite often. It happened to us last year with Detroit, with Ben Sherrod and Lucas Raymond, and literally that was a talk for the whole week. And we had lunch probably the same day or the day after. So that's how it goes. And I'll see if I can open him up a little bit. I did hear that he was a little bit more on the quiet side in that regard. I reached out even the next day that the incident happened to someone. I'm sure you guys can figure out who I played with in Detroit the year before, but to make sure that he was all right. And didn't seem like I was happy to hear he was at the team party that they had that night and didn't miss any practice, any of that stuff. So I was, I think on a personal level, I missed enough games with head injuries, concussions that you never want to see anyone go through something like that. And I'm not going to try and explain how I reacted anymore, I guess, but not one of my proudest moments in the sense of the way the result happened.
David, do you think of 17 years? You're drafted in 2007 in your wildest dreams, and take us back. Brady Tkachuk would have been 8 years old as now your team captain. How wild is that?
Gosh, I don't know how to explain it, to be honest. Just even seeing the numbers that you put up last year, I played with Patrick Kane, and he's number one on the games played and probably every other category as well. But it was just funny to bring it up in the room. I think I know we hit 11. I hit 1,100 games. He hit 1,200 games the same night. So that was kind of unique that we both hit a milestone on the same night. And obviously, really proud to just still be playing. And then, like you were saying, to be able to have a chance to play with Brady. And I did remember when I would kind of go over to Walt's house, Keith Tkachuk, and whether it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, he invited me over, and I'd play mini hockey in the basement with the boys, and they'd be fighting, going at it. It was all good moments. And I did have that small feeling like, what if one day I would play against them? I never thought, like you're saying, to play with them or even like I don't know how many years Matthew's been playing already, but same with Brady. And but if I can only play 1 year later, so it's pretty special.
Did Brady reach out to you right away? I'll
Yeah.
say the Zoom thing, but then secondly, when you signed, or had you spoken to him previously to signing about what Ottawa was like?
Well, different conversation happened over the years with Big Wall, and it's kind of sensitive in a way because I mean I know Big Wall's trying to help Matthews, trying to help Brady, and then he's got his own job in St. Louis, so it is what it is, right? But I always was that was an interest of mine for sure. Brady reached out right away, sent me a text. I mean, over the years we trained together in St. Louis on the ice. In July, August, when he was in town there. And we spoke a couple days ago on the phone for a little while and kind of heading into training camp, what we wanted to accomplish, maybe even prior to camp to try and get ready. And all good conversation. I'm just looking forward to get to town. I was in town last weekend, that just passed, and trying to look at places, school locations, all that. And I'm looking forward to get going with the guys.
Let me just bring this up because this is the point in the show where we tell all the new Ottawa Senators. Jason York has a house for sale. He'd be happy to show it to you. It's a great location with good schools.
Your red wine day, Dave. Your red wine day. Come over when you're back in time. We'll crack a bottle of Camus, Dave. We'll figure it out.
That might tip me over to buy the house. You're right. I like that a lot.
How soon after did you sign? Did you tell Brady that he has to babysit your kids?
That hasn't been brought up yet, but I have been looking kind of in the same neighborhood. I guess that he's at. So definitely, I'll send my oldest over for sure. He's going to turn 9 here in 13 days, and on July 24th. So this is kind of the same age that I played with Brady and Matthew, mini hockey, whether it was in the locker room on the ice. Big Walt would have him on the ice after our practice. The boys would be sitting on the bench with their full gear, waiting in practice. And then after, they would hop right on and do things. We would do stick handling drills, just shooting, anything. Is it is like it's fun to have the kids around, whether it's even after losses. Some teams would be like, oh, no kids in the room after losses. Well, what if it's like one of the 4, 5, 6 afternoon games in the year, and that's the only time that my kids would come, really, because it's on the weekend usually, and on the weekdays they have school. So I think the Sens seems to be a big family-oriented team, and I'm excited about that. I know they're excited to have kids around the locker room, and mine will be around for sure.
Dave, a guy I used to play with, Warren Reichel, Simmer, you know him. Colorado back in the day when Mark Crawford was coaching, they had kids in the room all the time, and I guess Reichel's kid was in the room once. And they're having a meeting, and the kid was sitting there, and he goes, "Why don't you play my dad more?"
Oh, that's great.
And the whole room just went quiet.
I think I don't know how old his kid would have been, but I think my son's at the point where it's probably the opposite now. He's chirping me more than anything, and it's funny because I do remember Big Walt talking how his kids would tell him how he's not good anymore. He can't do anything, doesn't score. And here he is, like over 1,000 games, 500 goals, 1,000 points. And I guess we know why, because they're maybe trying to break his records. But I thought that was a pretty cool story.
David, are you excited to come and play in Canada? And at the same time, I saw you reaching out. Kind of cool that you're going to play in a bilingual market as well.
Yeah, so that's something new for me that way for sure. I'm used to, I don't know, like usually Twitter and all the social media. I would usually kind of just do it in English, and felt like this time around would be a little special hello to the people of Gatineau Hall, and even in Quebec and throughout Canada. Really, there's a lot of French Canadian that are Sens fans and hockey fans. So just felt like I'd reach out that way and try and promote the Senators that way a little more. And I'm excited. It's going to be different. I played in Edmonton in 13, 14. Different. My family, 2 of my daughters are born in the U.S. We loved it living there and everything. And I think it's going to be a new experience and something. There'll be some adjustments in different ways, but we definitely are excited.
Dave, maybe a tough question, but what's been your secret? Like you're 36 years old, but you still, a lot of guys that are older, it's like, they want to wind down their career, get their cookies.
Yeah.
you still got some fire though, and for me, that's why I know why Ottawa wanted you, older guy, leadership, but you still got bite in your game. Like you're a guy that goes out there and still plays inside the dots. Like what's your secret for still having the passion in the game?
Well, definitely my game is down low and hanging on to pucks and being heavy and being hard to play against. If I don't have that, I don't know that I play anymore. And I think it's been something I've focused on my whole career. Like you want to have bite. You want to be hard to play against. There's really nothing else to say. I don't know if you asked me 10 years ago, do you think you'll still play in 24, 25? I probably would have said no, but you want to keep pushing every single day. One of the first conversation I had with my agent and some of the teams that reached out throughout the process, really, it happened quick. But that was a big thing for me. I'm not going anywhere to just wind down and just take on a kind of a secondary role in a sense. I want to be a leader in the room, and to be a leader in the room, you have to be able to provide on the ice and do it. And I still understand where I'm at in my career. I'm not saying that I expect everything first. No, it's not the point. I got to go in there in the locker room, earn the respect, earn my ice time and everything. But again, in that sense, I don't want to be just a guy that, like you said, collects a paycheck and goes home and is happy with it. I want to still make a difference in whichever way I can. I've mentioned this before, but two of the bigger examples for me that I've noticed over the last 5-6 years is a guy like Joe Pavelski, Corey Perry. These guys, similar to me in skating wise, they're not the fastest, but they get to the right areas of the ice that they need to get to. Both those guys play on the inside. I mean, Pavelski scored so many goals. We know about the warm, how many goals he scored around the net, but these are two examples for me that I really try to mimic my game in a lot of areas in that way. I think that's important. You want to be hard to play against, and if I don't have that, I don't know that I provide what I can do.
Are you also, David, looking at the division and understanding, hey, something you're very familiar with, and also understanding how difficult it is to unseed some of the big boys when it comes playoff time?
Crazy. It's the hardest thing. You're right. I think one thing I'm looking forward to, and I know Sens fans or anybody in Ottawa probably aren't happy to hear that, but the way the season went last year and the way it went the year before, we felt like with Detroit, when we played Ottawa, those two games back to back 2 years ago, we just thought like it felt like Ottawa finally took that step. They're not going to look back, and they did seem to be taking a step back last year. I mentioned that to a couple guys, and I hope that it hurt the guys a little bit. I heard it made them even more hungry coming into this year to really kind of just move past that, and maybe it was a one-off year, whatever it was, and finally moving the program forward for good. I want to be part of that. I want to help the culture in that regard, the identity, and again, like with Brady as the captain, like I have a special relationship with him, but every time he chips the puck in the corner, I mean, you might be losing 3-0 on any given night. It might change the momentum right there. And I just think you need more guys like that. You need more to support him in that regard. And leadership wise, I think it can be uncomfortable sometimes in the locker room. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time. That's how you grow out of it. And I'm excited to just provide what I can bring.
Hey, Dave, Brady's got that old school in him. If you go back to earlier in your career, when you'd get up on a team, you're like, shit, maybe we should slow down here because these guys aren't going to stop, because there's not a lot of guys like that in the league anymore that just make you pay every single shift.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the guys, sometimes they play third, fourth line, and they are really effective. I think they are critical to success. But when you have a top line guy, or maybe your best player, top 3 player on the team, doing that every shift, I mean, let me tell you, I heard about the other side of it when the D's go in the corner to go retrieve the puck, how much it puts pressure on the wingers too, because usually that will bring more rims, less possession from the defenseman. Just natural things. Like guys got to take care of themselves a little bit. You got to protect yourself. You don't want to just take hits the whole night. And if we play aggressive on our forecheck and have that mentality as a team, like it's tough to play against, and who knows where that takes us. Like we got to have that mentality right away. If we want to make the playoffs next year, we got to bring it up from the first day of training camp.
I'd like to point out you are 137 days younger than Claude Giroux, so you're not the oldest guy on the team this year. So that might be a little jump in your step. What did the Linus Ullmark trade do for you to think about coming to Ottawa?
It caught my attention right away. It catches your attention. You're like, wow, okay, they're really like one more thing to add to the program that's going to make a big difference. And we saw the success that he had in Boston. And I think for himself, I'm pretty sure he's excited now to show that he can really take the reins. I know they had kind of the 2 goalie system there. I don't know how it's going to play out here. Most teams nowadays, you need 2 goalies anyway. You need both guys to play a lot of games. It's a long year and everything. But I'm excited to just play with him, see what he's all about, practice habits, everything. So I think it's a big step forward for sure.
Hey, Dave,
do you also look at
sorry, Sam, it was interesting you talked about practice habits. We had Allmark on the show about a week and a half ago, and one of the things he said, he goes, I thought I had things figured out until I went to Boston and I saw how hard these guys worked, and then I go, that's why these guys win. They work. And he said it was just a total different culture, and then this light bulb went off in his head, and he took his game to another level.
Bang on. Like, I played with Ryan O'Reilly in St. Louis, and I could not believe how hard this guy was and hard worked in practice. And the first year he came to St. Louis in 2018-19, and we could ask Mike, now he's on the team with Ottawa, but his practice habits were through the roof. And I was telling myself in the back of my mind, if I can get a crack at playing with this guy one time, I got to make it work. And I was patiently, obviously, kind of there was other guys in front of me there, and then finally I think in November or December I had my chance for a couple of games, and then I had another chance with him in December and never looked back really. All the rest of the time in St. Louis, we had the mentality to push practice habits, and it came from him. No wonder he became the captain once Pietrangelo left, and I really think that's where it starts. That's something I tried to bring in Detroit. I will do the same thing here in Ottawa. From the first day of training camp, or at least as the year goes by, I know Greener's got a hard training camp coming, and with my skating at times, I might have to be smart in that regard early on. But once I get through the first week, you can be sure that I'll push the pace and just be competitive and do the right things. Where just never take a second off. Like, if you're going to be out there for 25 minutes or 45 minutes, depending which day the travel schedule, you got to get something out of it. And that's where it starts, especially for younger teams that are trying to find their identity, culture, and move on. That's how you do it.
And you look at that, David.
Sorry, it's just all about getting that jump off when you do that skating drill, the lightning drill. Just get that little extra head start, eh? You're not last.
Can the media look at the other end when I'm going at the other start, so I can get going, please? No, it's obviously a skating test. No one's comfortable, and I was telling Brady and other people like how hard obviously it is for everyone, but it just seems when you're a guy that needs to push even more to just kind of stay with the program that way. It's interesting. You just leave your soul out there. You finish the test, and you basically gave it like 120%, and you don't have any more to give. And I think that's what, like, coaches like Greener, those guys, that's what they want to see. Like, we would be shocked sometimes what they're trying to get out of it. Usually is just they want to see how guys fight. They don't really like maybe see who's first, who's last, who's this. They want to see who's fighting. And I think most coaches that do similar testings, that's what they're looking at.
100%.
And David, when you look at that and you look at the NHL right now, is that the margin between a non-playoff team and a playoff team? And I think about your St. Louis group. God, you guys had a terrible start. I think the old story, last place in Philadelphia, you end up winning the cup. Is that what you look at and you say to Ottawa, baby steps first about trying to get to a playoff spot? But what the difference, as you said, that approach can be, and the different mentality that you can bring to this club.
Yeah, it's important. You want to have a hard training camp. You don't want to pick up injuries or lose guys because it's maybe too crazy. But you want to have it so it catches guys' attention. They got to be ready and ready from the first day. Last year we lost. We didn't make the playoffs by 1 point, by a few seconds away. If we had scored a minute before, I know I scored tied the game, the last game of the year, whatever. If we had scored a minute before, maybe it changes the mind of Philly to pull their goalie. We're in the playoffs. Like, that's how slim. That was the slimmest thing I've ever seen to make the playoffs, and that's a mentality we have to have. I don't think that we can have a playoff type of hockey in October and November, but you have to be super close. You have to have an identity that you can kind of see where it's building. And I think it's also fine to have some ups, some downs to when you do find your game fully. If you have the right type of brand of hockey, when you find your game, you can really kind of find that next level and it takes you to different heights, to different levels that maybe is sustainable in playoffs, you can have success there too.
A couple of things. One is and we're way off topic as we usually are on the show, but what got you to decide Ottawa? Normally, okay, aside from term and money, that's a given. But what was it that made you go, I think this is where I want to be for the next 2 years?
Yeah, like term and money is one thing, but you want to have a program where you feel you can make a difference. That's exactly how it felt like from the conversation I had, like I said, with everyone. And even after signing with Steve Stills, I was super excited to hear what he had to say and what he expects from me, identity-wise, culture. It's all about winning. It's all about trying to bring a winning culture. And it's never been about me, but it's even at this stage of my career, it's even more about winning only for me. And like there's different teams in different stage in their development. And I just think that Ottawa is ready for that next step, that big step that they're going to sustain that success every year. And again, like the way that last year happened, this was something that for me, I was excited to. I think everyone's gonna have open ears, ready to open mind to come to training camp and take the next step. So I think that was the biggest thing for me. St. Louis, when we won the Cup, even the year before, I was in Vegas and I was in St. Louis the year prior, and they didn't make the playoffs. And it felt like a little bit of a similar feeling where the guys going into this training camp, even though we didn't have a good start, but that hunger and that feeling that they were hurt of not making the playoffs and they wanted to take the next step finally and have playoff success was there. And we finally turned it around later on in the year, but it needs to be there. And I feel like possibly in Ottawa, that's how they feel.
And so what, in your conversation with Travis Green, and I'm not sure how much you've talked to him, but one, you obviously knew he was the coach, so I don't know if you knew anything about him prior, but what in your conversations have you guys talked about that you are anxious or excited to hear?
Yeah, I know he's a hard coach, and I usually thrive in that environment. I thrive when every single day can be hard, but it's rewarding. Again, the training camp does give me a little bit of anxiety. I think we can all remember the clips from Vancouver a few years ago. So I'm interested to see how that turns out for us. But at the same time, it's the mentality behind it that's required to have success, and you have to be smart through it. But and then my conversation with him was pretty simple. Like he's asking me simple things, kind of on the surface, like and then hockey wise, like, do you want to play right side, left side? And I think for me at this point, I'll play where it can smooth things out for a coach. Like with Greg Berube in St. Louis, it was almost like it felt like the older guys were an extension of the staff, and we are. And I think I'm more and more of that as I get older, for sure. If you need me on the left side on a certain line because the other right side feels way more comfortable, well, maybe I have to play left side. Maybe it takes away from what some of the things I can do better, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's about helping the line out, helping what the team needs, and that's what I'm going to try and do.
Hey,
Is
Dave,
there any chance, sorry, last one, is there any chance
ahead.
that you, Claude, perhaps Nick Jensen, all have groin injuries the first week of training camp? Not today, coach. Maybe tomorrow.
Oh my goodness! No, I hope not. I you know what? We'll see what happens. I'm gonna prepare for it. Every guy, when you hear like we're gonna get a follow up soon from the strength and conditioning staff, or maybe Travis himself, and he's gonna warn us on what he's expecting. We kind of had a little bit of an idea, but we're gonna get more details. And I mean, if you're any smart, you're gonna prepare for it, and hopefully it's not as hard. And I mean, injuries happen. You don't decide when they do happen, and hopefully it's not 2 to 3 of us, because we have talked about it on July 11th, and I hope it's not the case.
No, I just meant, and a jokingly, coach, I don't think I can do the skate test.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I think those. I don't know. We'll see. I think I got more on the line that way. Skating wise, I have to show that I still belong, and I want to keep pushing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's like when I got older, and you strike me the same way. You just get wiser, and you just seem to appreciate the game more. Like you kind of figure out how lucky we are to play this game. It's just trying to put that onto the younger guys and bring that with you and get that understanding. But you just strike me as a guy that fully understands that.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I think I've always loved hockey. My passion for it has always been there, but in a way, it's increasing every day. I just enjoy going to rink more every single day, trying to find solutions. Even through some of the bad times, like usually I'd get down on myself a little bit early on in my career. Like I feel like not anymore. It's the opposite. If anything, finding ways through whatever situation you're going through. Sometimes it can be personal. Sometimes it can be with the team. Sometimes it's your own play that's not great, and you just gotta dig in a little more. And I think those are the days I really enjoy. And that's something I got from Crosby one time in Pittsburgh playing with him, and he mentioned that like, if we could all say we're coming to rink and we're going to win 5-0 every game, like eventually no one would show up. But having to find through that level of consistency, like I said, building that culture, that's what's so rewarding. And it's not just the players. It's going to be with the staff members. And I heard the Sens have a great staff, trainers, coaches that have been there for a long time. They want to help any way they can. And that's another thing that's big for me.
And also, David, I think some people say the color of your skates can make you look faster. And I did some real deep digging in St. Louis, and I was told that Andy Murray was not a big fan of your white skates. Is there any chance we could see those back at the Canadian Tire Center?
I'm a Bauer guy now. I had to switch last year. I just wasn't comfortable with the other brand I had before. So far, I'm still with Bauer, and I like the skate quite a bit. But yeah, you're right. Andy, my first day of training camp in St. Louis, he's got the story a little bit wrong, to be quite honest. Okay, but I'll kind of set the record straight, I guess. We all know, like, the Reebok back in the day had maybe it might have been RBK back then, had two different level of skates. Like the same skates were black, and the other same skate had some white on it. And I just had my skates from junior, and I showed up with that at training camp, and he painted them white. I painted them black before the first day it starts. I get to rink the next morning, and I see my skates, they're all black. So, and actually, Big Walt was in the room when I saw my skates, the only other player in the room. And I don't know if he set me up or something. He might have been part of the joke or whatever. I didn't say anything. Like, it's the NHL. You're like, oh my God. Like, I was shocked. I was a little bit frustrated. But what do? You go on the ice, you put your equipment, you work hard, and my days went by pretty good, and ended up making the team somehow. But what the story's saying is Andy's like, oh, they showed up to camp, the skis were all white. Like, no, like they were just a retail version of the other RBK. Like, it's kind of funny when he brings up that story. I think his memories, I don't know, is different than mine on that.
Okay.
Speaking of going back to your first years, I meant to bring this up earlier, and that's, if I'm not mistaken, you were passed over twice in the Q draft, and then you were passed over once in the NHL draft, if I'm not, and then you get drafted 26th overall. And then we put up the board that says second in games played, fourth in points, fourth in goals, fourth in assists, fourth in penalty minutes, which we'll get to in a second. I'm just curious what the David Perron of today would say to that kid coming into the league.
Can you leave that board up all the time, please? It makes me feel good. I'm kidding. What would I say? I think from my path to the NHL, what I learned is when I would always be good to adjust to the next level. And if anything, I don't want to say it felt easier, but it felt better. It felt like the execution of players would feed my game more than go the other way. The speed is one thing, but the execution of passing and the timing and the intelligence of players would feed my game. And that way it felt easier, it felt better, and it just made me super confident. And heading into my first NHL training camp, it's a longer story, but because I was on a super series in Russia with Team Canada, they didn't want to invite me to training camp. They wanted to send me right back to junior. And my agent fought for me to just go to training camp for 2 days, really 48 hours, send me back down. And I just kept buying days, preseason games, scored a couple goals, ended up making the team. I'm still playing today. Like, it's kind of crazy how it happened. So yeah, like I don't know what I would tell the kid. Just day by day, keep pushing. And I feel like I got better as I got older in different ways. And I had to, every 5-year segment, I would say that I adjusted my game to how the NHL was being played. And I adjusted my intelligence level in the locker room in all aspects. Really, I was able to stay relevant that way, and I hope that I can keep doing that. And again, the two guys I mentioned were big examples. I pay attention to hockey around the league. I've watched a lot of hockey over the years. I've had my down years, up years, and I feel like now that I've kind of been in the groove the last 6-7 years compared to the middle part of my career where I moved around and hockey wasn't going as great. I feel like I'm in a groove. I don't want to let go of the rope. I want to keep getting better. And like I was saying just 5 minutes ago, every single day at the rink, I have more fun than ever before. So I think that's what keeps me going.
Okay, here's my follow-up to that on the penalty minutes. I've looked. You do not have one career NHL fight.
Huh.
I think one preseason for sure. Not that I wanted it. I wanted my second or third year. Some guy ran, or I'm going in the corner, and the guy got ran from behind, so I had to jump in and do it. And then I may have another one against in Anaheim. It might have been Perry or Bobby Ryan. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it counted for a fight, but it felt like one to me. And then there was many I think there's many instances that you feel like is going to happen. One time me and Alex Burrows dropped the gloves, and the ref came in and he's like, you guys are second fight, you're getting kicked out, you better stop right now. And we stopped. And definitely I think the other factor that makes me like, they're always once, twice or three times a year where you want to kind of do it, and all the head injuries, all the things that I had. Yeah. I missed 97 games in a row, I think in 2011 with a concussion. And that little light bulb pops in my head every time. Just maybe not, like, I don't know, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Trust me, inside myself, it's worth it. But then the next morning I wake up, I'm glad I did that. So go ahead with your follow-up you had. Well, sorry.
It wasn't, and so I wasn't trying to get on you for not having fought. It was just you have so many penalty minutes, and I think you have 4 games of a 10-minute misconduct. I think that's it. Like, you've been very good throughout your career. I just meant that you weren't this, like, you're an annoying pest, but you're not a guy that does a lot of cheap shots.
I think some people felt like I should probably have 1 or 2 more, especially even like that was kind of my thing in the December issue. I'm not trying to bring it up again, hopefully the last time, but yep. This is kind of like I turn around, I see my captain laying on the ice. I turn around, I'm like, I'm gonna go in there with some force on his arm. Hopefully, it creates a scrum, and maybe it turns into a fight. Like, this was the moment maybe for me last year. It didn't turn it all the way I wanted in that case, and especially the way Zub went down too. It's not great. You never want to see that in hockey. But yeah, there's always something in my head that I tried to play the game on the edge, on the line. And then, with my size and everything, it's not like I'm 240 pounds and I can fight against anyone. So there's less and less guys that I could do it with, I guess. And sure, some guys would do it with me, but again, they're trying to be smart with it.
Yes. And by all means, I understand completely what you're saying. Finally, or not finally.
Way to wreck a good interview.
Oh, no, that wasn't the point. You talked about your kid chirping you. I'm curious. A lot of times, kids cheer for, like, they have, like, is he a Connor McDavid fan? Is he a fan of somebody else? So what's your kid like? And I'll follow that up with playing your 1,000th game of having your boy on the ice.
Yeah, he is a fan of Connor McDavid. We drove through Toronto on the way back from Detroit. And we stopped at the Hall of Fame. First time I ever go, like, in the public side, and not that there's a private, but we did drop a Stanley Cup ring there in 19, and we had a special tour when it was closed. And he saw a Connor McDavid jersey, and he's been asking me one for like 3-4 years now. I was like, all right, it's the playoff. There's only like 2 teams left, I think, at the time. It was the finals just starting. And I got him one, and I you know what? They were actually down 3-0, and he wore his jersey every single game, and they almost won. They tied it up, and he felt like he had some part in it. It was kind of funny. He's also a big Connor Bedard guy. He likes the way he shoots the puck, and I think my kids were way more excited than I thought to like. We've moved around, and you just feel like eventually they're gonna want to just get settled. Their friends in school, all that. And they've been really excited. They had me buy them Senators hat and looking forward to get their jersey to come to the rink and cheer. And it's surprising how resilient they are to be able to, like, my son is turning 9. And if you look at my last 9 years, like, I think he was born, I was in Pittsburgh, moved to Anaheim, back to St. Louis, Vegas, like St. Louis, Detroit, now here. It's a lot of cities. And then in the summer, we come back to Quebec. We live in Magog near Sherbrooke. And it's surprising how resilient they are, excited they are every time to move.
Okay, so as you get ready to get into Ottawa, have you tried to look and search the city? Is there things you've learned about the city? Are your kids interested in museums?
Well, I did see there's a bunch of them, so I'm excited for them that way. My wife likes to take them to that, especially when we're on the road, if they have a day off from activities, which is a little bit more rare nowadays. It seems like there's hockey, something, gymnastic every single day. I did search some things. We went around the whole town, showed my family the rinks, the rink neighborhood, the rink area, downtown, some of the neighborhoods around. I mean, so far, like, I don't know too much just yet, but definitely exciting. It seems the history of the city and many things. And then even just the winter side, like in St. Louis, there wasn't much of a winter, and I'm looking forward to take them to winter sports more. Like, that's how I grew up, skating outdoor rinks. This isn't something that I had the luxury to do much with my son so far. And I think he's going to really enjoy that.
The one thing your wife's really going to enjoy, all the rinks are close proximity for minor hockey, Dave. So you're not, compared to the States, you could be driving hours to go to games.
Yeah.
I think Ottawa's got most rinks per capita and square feet, whatever you want to call it. It's unbelievable. Just don't live in the Ottawa Valley, because if you live in the Valley, great hockey, but you're going to be driving hours.
Stop trying to sell your house, Yorkie.
That's where Wally lives.
Quickly, Dave, do you have any hidden talents that Sens fans should know about?
Not really. No, I don't think so. The only thing I would say, anytime I have to answer that question, when I was younger, I did do some flying lessons just for fun. I felt like it'd get my mind off from in the summer. And then the first time I was traded from St. Louis, I stopped doing it. That was the only thing I really enjoyed doing. That I was at like 15 or 20 hours done, and I think you need 40 to get your full license. And I was basically, I was able to do everything by myself, and I still had the teacher with me beside, because I just didn't want to take the chance on anything. Obviously hockey was always and is always the number one, but it was just something, like, it felt when you're in the air and you're flying those smaller planes. St. Louis is pretty flat, and you just could see everywhere. Just like felt like a different type of freedom, and something that not everyone can say they're able to do. So I guess that would be my only one.
Alfie took his pilot's license, but I don't think he completed it, but he almost did. So you can have that chat with Alfie. Speaking of Alfie, do you guys know each other at all? Because obviously he'll be behind the bench chatting with you. I'm curious what you know about Daniel Alfredsson.
No, I think it's great. I'm super excited to get to know him. I think last year when we were in Sweden, that was maybe one of his first game behind the bench, or
yes,
some of his first game.
First two.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I want to see what he's got, pick his brain. Again, going through different situations throughout the year. How do you react to it? How does he react to it? What kind of energy he's got? All that. I think that's something I bring every single day. I bring energy to the rink. I bring enthusiasm. But I'm looking forward. Every coach got their own personality, and obviously with him being a legend, a Sens legend, but a hockey legend in general, a guy that I really enjoyed watching and playing against him too. So it's going to be a special time. Every single time you get to run into a guy like him. I mean, in Detroit last year, we were fortunate. Henrik Zetterberg, Nick Lidstrom, those guys were around sometimes, and I think it's going to be a very similar feeling for me.
Do these skates look familiar to you? Let's see.
You got the white skate. You got the white skate.
TJ, where are you?
Is it behind the one behind Yorkie, the skates he played with when he started? Or? There you go. Now we're talking. Okay, so that's what I had. And I mean, there's a lot of white, but it's still a retail skate. It's not like nothing. Yeah, like it's half white, half black. Many guys had that, and yeah, I mean, that's funny. I like it. Good find. But bring up the draft numbers instead. That's more enjoyable to watch.
So DP, DP, let me get this straight. You cruised in the training camp first day with the all white skates.
Well, I went right from Russia to Western Canada. We played 4 games, and then right to training camp. I had nothing, no days in between. This was my equipment from junior. I mean, obviously, again, like my background that Brent brought up, like 1-2 years passed over, like to play junior A and 17-year-old, 18-year-old, you play major junior. Definitely a different upbringing that way, and I had a lot to learn in a sense. I don't think the skates were really like. They're definitely not a big deal nowadays. Like some guys have like different equipment, and no one really cares. But definitely back then, it was a big thing to just kind of be like everyone else that way. But yeah, like a guy like Keith Tkachuk taught me so much. He was extremely hard on me. Like I guess I'm laughing about it nowadays. I wasn't laughing all the time back then when Big Walt would be waiting in the hallway and between period and be like, "Hey, Paris, come here, Perry, come here," and then. He would like give it to me in certain ways, but something that I'm so happy I got, like he helped me grow, and these are all lessons that I had to learn, that I learn and use them nowadays, and definitely different times. I don't think you can do everything that older guys were doing back then, but I respect the way they did it. I think without him, I'm not sure I'm still playing. I certainly would not have learned everything that maybe I can help nowadays, and maybe a reason why I'm still playing, to help with the culture and the identity of a team. And I'm super fortunate I had him to teach me. I have the patience, even though it didn't seem like patience to me, but for him to have the patience to do it. And then the next day say, "Hey, come over, it's Thanksgiving, my house, the kids are there," and show up, be just a part of the family, basically.
You gave an answer. I've tried to watch everything I can to find about you, and I know you got to go. So you gave an answer one time about, why would I want to be liked by the opposition? And it really stood out for me. I'm like, obviously you don't want to be liked by the opposition, but I will say, like, when I watched you play, I've interviewed you for a bit, and especially during the Cup final, but during that run, nobody ever wants to chat and have a good time, right? It's all business. So my perception of you, like a lot of people, has changed drastically over who the person you are compared to what you are on the ice. So I will gladly say, I love the prick you are on the ice. I just think you're really a fantastic person. So I just thank you for your time showing up today. It's been fantastic. So I wish you all the best this season.
Yeah, no problem. But just to follow up on that, like it blows my mind a little bit when people are surprised by that, in a sense, because you're going on the ice to get the edge on the other team, and that's it. Like, you shouldn't care about what their feelings are at the time, or if you're within the rules. Except that one incident in my career where I got suspended. I've been playing on the edge. I will always do it. I feel like that's the way I want to win. Like, that's all I want to do is win hockey games, be successful. And that's what's rewarding to me. And I can't tell you how many times teammates, especially when we did the team in Vegas, and it's all new guys, no one knows each other, and guys would be like, "Wow, you're actually a nice guy. I really enjoy spending time with you." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, but I think the other thing is, like, don't apologize for who you are. Like, I am what I am, who I am. I'm proud of it, and I want to make a difference in the right way, be a positive person to be around. And I appreciate the words, though. I'm hoping I can do the same thing with the Sens fans and everyone in Ottawa.
Oh, absolutely love it. Oh, do you hate the Leafs? We need to know.
I hate the Leafs, maybe except their coach. I like their coach a little bit, but other than that, I have. Well, you know what? We had some battles with Detroit too, and another team that I was asked, I think by Sean, like, it's tough to knock off the top seeds in a division. They're one of them. We have to do it.
Fair enough. And I know you like Craig Berube, but we can't like the Leafs. David, thanks very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thanks, DP.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Appreciate it,
brother. Cheers.
Look at you, Look at you sucking up at the end, eh? You
Oh,
went
man.
after him. You went after him about the fights.
Old school.
No,
Yorkie.
so that wasn't the point.
Beat the rookie down, then you kind of prop him up as he leads. And
Well, you'd be a tyrant as a coach. Eh? You'd be one of those. You'd be one of those guys that you go by the coach and you don't want to talk to this guy. He's always in a bad mood, salty.
That was a Mike Keenan tactic right there.
Beat him down and then boost him back up.
Yeah. Two things. One, I would be exactly David Perron on the ice. That's totally who I would be. Total pain in the ass. Two, I was just shocked at the number of penalty minutes he had and how few misconducts he had. Just
he's like
minor penalties. I just
right away. He's like, "Wait, you're coming after me for not fighting?"
Well, that wasn't the point. So anyway, I didn't actually think of it that way.
You saved it at the end. I'll tell you what though, people are gonna love this guy. Like you talk about a guy that knows exactly what's needed in this locker room on the ice, culture-wise. And what's the one thing Steve Stais kept talking about at the end of the year besides goaltending and a right shot D? I need older guys. They're going to help prop up this group, say the right things. And it's one thing, too. It's the old saying, well, you're good in the room. Well, why don't you stay in the room then? It's one thing to be good in the room.
Exactly.
But you've also got to be able to back it up on the ice, too. And I love what Dave said about, he said the same thing. I got to be good in the room, but I also go out and walk the walk and do what I talk about on the ice. So that's, to me, saying all the right things. And I love that he still has some bite in his game, because they remember a lot of guys when they age, that bite, it's like an old dog. It's like the old dog. It's you lose it. You lose that.
When I was with the Leafs, I'm like, everyone wants to come home to be a Leaf. They want to retire. That's what they do. They bring in older players. All they want to do is put on the jersey. They're not hungry. And to that, boys, so many flashbacks of things of thinking of Brady Tkachuk as a captain. You need to be supported. You need to be backed up, when that message is being sent. And then also in the back of my mind, I'm thinking of young French hockey players. And of course, you think of Marty St. Louis. You're beat down. You're told you're too small forever. That battle and that fight. And then the other thing that I think of, and I know it's been talked about, guys, in the past, is Mark Stone. Why is Mark Stone so good at what he does? Because he had to do it his entire career because he didn't skate well. He had to be smart. He had to battle. He had to do all these different things. My buddy Andrew Burnett, never going to make the NHL, old Bruno. There it is, 1,000 games later. There's just a lot of things there that the fire was there from the day. Think about that. He barely got invited to training camp and he made the team in St. Louis. And he got drafted. All these things that brought him into the league, he'll bring across. And I don't want to take away from Rockme Amadeo, nice fella. But when you interview Jensen and Ullmark, and now you interview a guy like DP there, man, oh man, come on, guys, you're feeling it. You know what I mean? You're feeling three incredible, high quality people coming into your locker room to help Brady, help Giroux. What a difference that's going to make for the Ottawa Senators this year.
Different personalities too, where you get Jensen, the pros pro, show up, it's work hard. And we had Nick on, he's like, I'm all about working hard and competing, and just being a good. Jensen strikes me as a low maintenance guy that's just going to come and be that stable defenseman that you need. DP is going to be more of the guy that's going to hold guys accountable. And that's what you need. It's because coaches today, it is really tough. Everybody says, why doesn't the coach hold him accountable? Well, because the guy's on an 8-year deal making $7 million. He's got all the power. But that's why Boston has been so good for so long, because they're older guys. They run the team. It was Marchand, Bergeron, Chara. If they don't like what's happening, there'll be a fight in practice. They'll hold the guys accountable. And to what David was saying, the leaders have to be an extension of the coach's arm. That's what happens with good teams. And that's why when Stais came in, he's like, we don't have enough of that here. Jacques Martin, I spoke with him, said the same thing. After Claude Giroux, there's a huge drop off in that veteran presence that you have to be a successful team.
And you're talking about teams, Wally. That goes back all the way to Ray Bourque and how it gets passed along. And it certainly starts. They've had the same ownership. But hey, let's face facts here. 5-6 years ago in Ottawa, it was a laughing stock. I mean, it was a joke. There was no pride in the brand. Nobody wanted to play here. The only reason they were playing here was because of a contract. As you start to bring that back, you have to win hockey games. You have a culture. You have young players come through the system. But now you bring in legitimate people. And again, I just take it at face value. But when you interview these guys, they're all here because they want to be here, and especially as a free agent. Now trades can be a little bit different, Wally, but it just feels like as a collective group, there's a real nice energy, new staff. Finally, it's kind of that clean slate for everybody involved. And this should almost be the unveiling of the franchise. If you're a fan, you should be looking at this as, okay, this is basically the start of the new Anlauer era. That's really when you should be starting, is this year.
And we had said, Yorkie, throughout last year, right? Like, you got to kind of wash this year away. It's just
100%.
It's not going to be what people want it to be. And I understand frustration, but you can feel it now. Steve Stale said this is what he was going to do. And so far he's done it. The interesting thing, David Perron reminds me a bit of when Claude Giroux signed here. I understand Claude Giroux is a different player, but everybody questioned, does he have foot speed left? Can he still play the game? We're giving him $6 million a year. And he took that to heart, right? And he proved he had one of his best seasons. And so you feel that. I don't know that David Perron's going to be a 50-goal scorer. Like, I just sense that he's ready to be a 20-goal scorer and contribute on a nightly basis and be an impact player. And that's all you can ask for.
This was the problem with the moves that were made before. The moves were made like it was like, oh, shiny toy, got to get this without a lot of thought to which was needed to help support. Like I said this before, like, how many goal scorers do you need? Like, the power play can only have 5 guys on it. like
is that the cat with the laser pointer?
Oh my God. It's like, it was like you starting a season with 2 power plays and trying to figure out how to get their guys. Now it's like, you know what? You got veterans with roles, people with purpose. So you know what? It's been a great offseason so far. And it's brought to me, it's the right moves, bringing some excitement, and then, we'll see what happens in training camp.
Yeah. And just the layer guys, you come into the rink and guys have played other places and you make comparisons. Now you can't have a new facility like other places have, hopefully down the road. But when you're winning and there's a good atmosphere, but you walk in and you see Steve Staios who played, you talk to a Dave Poulin, now all of a sudden a Travis Green. I wanted to talk to him more about Mike Yeo because I know Mike from Minnesota and obviously his time in St. Louis, great guy. There's an energy there. And it's also the pride, as you know, Yorkie. It can be everything from the security person, and you know that too, Wally, how they approach you when you walk into the building versus their mentality of how they feel about the organization can set tones for people, for media, for the people that work there, that play there. It's 100%. Incredible. Right? Like, I remember going into Philadelphia. I'm like, do they ever fire anybody from here? Because every one of these people have been working here since day one because it was like family. And that's what the Flyers have always had, is that mentality of everybody is super proud of the brand. And it's so important, as you guys know, just from that minute you walk into the building.
So, Simmer, to your point there, just the last point we're talking about here. Yeah. My last year in the NHL in Boston, when I came into training camp, I'm not going to say I knew, but when you're on a team where you're not going to do very well. Because it starts with the veterans. And when you got veterans that don't want to be in a place, guys that are cheating in tests, guys that aren't in shape, those are the guys, because everybody talks about coaching. Yes, coaching is really important. But again, if you don't have the proper veterans in your locker room, and that's why you see good teams in the league, they have those guys because they set the culture.
Yeah, and I want to make a point here because it's such a big thing. I am so big into fitness, and I learned this in 1986 when Scott Stevens was there. What I understood right away is, first of all, you could tell who NHL players are and who aren't, which I wasn't, obviously. But I'm a goalie, and Al Jensen was my comparison, so we were okay. But you can pick it out. And what I also thought, when I go to do testing, is very important. And the competition between Gary Galley was even there at that time, and Bob Rouse, guys were competing in the testing of where their scores were going to be at, things that they could do to improve. As we went along in Washington, Yager came in, he wouldn't do the testing. And the time, and I mean this sincerely, I knew in Toronto that we had no chance going anywhere. Matt Sundin wasn't willing to do testing. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Wayne Gretzky or you're Bobby Orr. When you come into an NHL season, a professional atmosphere, like, you think Tom Brady's not going to show up for testing? Like, no. The tone is set by your veterans of coming in. Yeah. I worked my ass off. And for the guy that doesn't make the team or goes back to junior, Wally, you remember back, wow, how tough was that? You know what I mean? That's what you want as a culture.
Simmer, I'm going to give you some examples of some guys. Zdeno Chara.
Yeah.
Stanley Cup champion. Yeah. I stood beside him and watched him rattle off 39 pull-ups. Daniel Alfredson, who I used to train with in the summer, used to win the squat test every single year at Ottawa's training camp. I trained with Paul Krea when I was in Anaheim. Paul Krea prided himself. Me and him would compete on who was going to do better in the competitions, and we'd purposely go against each other in the skating contest. And those guys, that's why those guys are successful. But hey, something you brought up, and this was trending the other day on Twitter. Goalie swagger, Simmer. You have the goalie swagger. So you're like my one. You're like my one case study. It should have worked for you. You've got this.
You know what? The other part that they had to do back in the day was the clothing that they gave for training camp. Do you want to make me look any worse than grays that are too big for me? Like, oh my God! Like, and it is amazing, Wally. You've been around it. It has changed because the body type has changed. But man, back then you knew right away who the NHL players were, and I'm even talking about minor league, players that are older. You could just pick them out in a heartbeat, right? You could look at the body types. Going to be a player. Going to be a player. Nah, not going to be a player.
So how about everybody, probably everybody's watching the show right now, listening, saw that video of Allmark cruising into the rink, and he's got that, and it's not cockiness. It's just that you're a good player, and you exude that confidence, and you walk in and you're comfortable in your own skin. You're talking to people, but I love that video. I love watching him cruise in there, and just you could just tell that this guy he's going to radiate that personality within the group, and guys feed off that with your goaltender, man. You just you know when your goalie is a confident guy.
Oh, the last goaltender that had that here in Ottawa was Craig Anderson. I mean, and again, I know it's kind of funny because I think for goaltenders at times, and even with Ullmark, they don't necessarily look the part. But when I think back to Craig Anderson playing Lundqvist in the playoffs, playing Carey Price, playing Rask, you never thought twice about it. And Craig Anderson, I think, confidently just went in there, and that's what you want going head to head. And I don't think there's a doubt that Ullmark, for anybody in the league, that he's going to be confident. And Ottawa they just haven't had good goaltending, but they have not had any of that swagger since Craig Anderson left.
No, 100%.
If Linus Ullmark sold cars, he would have the entire lot empty by lunch. Everybody would say, "Yep, I'm buying from that guy." Like there's an energy about him that felt great just watching it, and him going, "Hey, I want to talk to you. I want to meet you." Right, the people behind Steve Staios and whatnot, like, I want to say hi to you too. He's bringing everybody
probably over with
him.
Harry Muse right now, probably cruising around with the nice part with Myers now is you can have any car you want. You don't have to have the American brands. I mean, hey, what do you want here? I got 30 different brands here. Just let me know what you want.
All right, let's get some work done. First of all, before we get in trouble, this show is proudly presented by Betway. Go to betway.ca. Don't forget, Copa America, Canada's playing Saturday. You can bet on Copa America, also Euro, if you want. Must be 19. Please play responsibly. Betway. Bet your way. And bye.
Yeah, BEI, our good friends over at Monisher Excavating Incorporated. They're great if you want to spruce up your driveway. BEI can also help with aggregate and topsoil sales. Plus, BEI also does equipment rentals. Give them a call for all your landscape needs, 613-432-1120, or you can visit them at monisherexcavating.com. BEI helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. And please slow down in construction zones this summer.
Okay, so by the way, our contest, if you guys haven't seen it, is win a chance and a friend, by the way. It's two of you, because Simmer, as of right now, says his wing doesn't work very well. I'm not sure he's playing, but he'll be there. So it's
not only going to be there, I'm going to cruise around in the cart. Maybe Stevie Duckett will just drive around. I'm not going to be one of the ones that just sits. I'm going to come and putt and hang out and be part of it for sure.
I believe you will be doing a live broadcast. Actually, we'll get you a mic, and you're
going to have the camera stick there. Hold on, we're gonna film. We're gonna take.
I want the antenna helmet too, though. You got to have the
the GoPro. Put the GoPro on your head.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, just email us at cominginhotsends@gmail.com. Up until we're gonna reveal the winner on August the 15th. The contest is the game is on September the 5th. It's at Rideau View with Steve Duckett and their great course. It's around for us. We're also working on securing several other prizes. Yeah.
I think the contest might be over because in my right hand, no,
it's not over.
I have the top 10 list. We got some. I know you're getting all the emails and people are writing in. I think we've had hundreds of people come in. Man, we have got a beauty one this morning. Unbelievable. Friend of the show, Eric. Like, I think, Mike, this is going to be tough to beat, fellas.
Okay.
This is going to be, and we have some women come writing in as well. So I'm going to read this from Eric. This is unbelievable. He's actually written a poem, Simmer.
Oh, I love it.
He's penned a poem. Eric has penned a poem. I could picture him at home. He's got the feather. He's got the feathered pen. He dips.
It would be like Swiss Family Robinson, the year of our Lord 2000.
So, Wally, you want me to read this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, good afternoon. Coming in hot. My name is Eric. I am a 36-year-old military vet. We love our military vets here on the show.
Oh yeah.
And he also loves the Sens. He says he watches every show. He tries to be as active as possible, and he loves a good joke.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So what were you going to say? Go ahead.
No, you got it. Are you reading the poem?
Yeah, I'm giving you a little back date on it.
I was going to say early on there wasn't much flow to the poem.
No, the poem. I can tell you what though. The poem is. I like a good poem. A good lyric. I'll go right to the poem here. So first, before he goes, I'm ridiculously good looking, but not even close to Brent Wallace. Jesus Christ, trying to suck up like Wally was to Perron.
Wow.
To Vince Carter, it's over.
Yeah, but Wally's been able to afford to have a lot of work done over the years. That's not normal.
There's some Botox. Look at Wally's head. That forehead doesn't even move. How much Botox he got in there?
I still have TV makeup left over. Yeah.
Eric also enjoys a good old fashioned and old movies plus trivia. He's trying to keep up with Yorkie. Simmer is a beauty, and I feel like we would have some good banter together. So here's the poem.
Okay.
Wally is salty but misunderstood. He likes his steak burnt just like charred wood. Yorkie is old-fashioned, just like his drink. He will speak his mind regardless of what you think. Simmer brings humor, experience, and always has a story. The nerd report never gets finished because they don't need to be sorry. Coming in hot is filled with knowledge, laughs, and stats, as well as Simmer's many hats. Tune into the show where the takes will be hot and the reports will be nerdy. All of your Ottawa Senators needs with Three Stooges over 30. That's pretty good. Well done.
Eric, that is outstanding.
That's good stuff.
I would, Yorkie, like to point out there's been a couple who said you owe them things, like they helped you move. I know, building permits.
Yeah, I know.
So,
well, I have one gentleman. I think I've gotten 25 tweets every day about wanting to golf. So,
yes.
You the one that's attaching the videos as well.
Videos.
That's awesome.
I got to get a name here. I got to get a name.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. There's been a lot of work, and a lot of thought. Yeah, I'll tell you in a sec.
Okay, so while you do that, by the way, Adam just entered into our chat, but I just happened to pull his out. Hi, my name is Adam. Listen to every episode. Reason why I should win this: I'm from Brockville, and I wanted to meet Yorkie and give him a piece of burnt toast with peanut butter before his alumni game. However, I was sick and missed out. Would love a round with a couple of guys I can shoot the shit, and maybe even have an old fashioned. Cheers, Wally, Simmer, and Yorkie. So
sounds good.
Right, a lot of people. Anxious. There's actually, I think we're over 65 right now. People have sent in emails. So keep them coming. I love them. No, Eric has not won it yet. They're all going to be looked over. So
it is coming. Derek. It is Derek. And Derek is on day 23 of tweeting. It's like
what is the magic number, Yorkie, that he's trying to reach? Is there one?
I guess 33.
Just to say yes.
33. Go with the 33. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
33. But yeah, no, there's pictures like you can't see. It. There we go. There's pictures and a lot of work and a lot of thought.
I don't know when you get a military vet on and they write you a poem and then they kiss all of our asses. That's tough. I gotta be quite honest with you.
Come on, he's hitting all the strokes there with that.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's been plenty of others that are still good. We're going to read more as we go through the shows. On Monday, World Junior Hockey coach Dave Cameron, who's chilling in PEI, is going to join us. So
I'll put out the tweet, guys. But here's one thing I was thinking about Dave Cameron, the way the world works, and I'm not trying to say anything. I know Eugene Melnick's passed away, but let's be honest. First of all, they were supposed to be friends. the way he was treated down the stretch with Ottawa, and then remember he said, I felt like I'd been fired for 2 months.
Yep.
He is going to walk back into that building, I'm assuming for the first time. He's
No,
going to
he
use
coached
that.
as an assistant in Calgary after.
Oh,
so
okay,
he would've-
okay.
I
But
think
he's-
he
he's
came
got-
back once or twice.
Probably
but-
going to use that locker room and use the coach's office. I just think this is awesome for Dave Cameron, who is
Yeah.
such a good guy, and just a cool experience to come full circle where he's at. So that'll be awesome to have Dave on, and I think it's great that he's coming back to coach the team.
When did we we had him on, Wally? He was so good last time we had him on. Just such good stories.
Mm-hmm.
He has great dry wit about him.
Yeah.
Really good. So
Mhm.
I just had a conversation with him the other day, but he gave me one of the quotes early on when I did the show with Matt, and said, when I was coaching the Sens, we called it seatbelt day, because you buckle up. Today's going to be one of those days. And that was about how the chaos was going on surrounding that organization at the time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I've never forgotten him saying that. And it's a perfect example of what was happening back then. And you said that him and Eugene were very good friends. He said, Dave, I need you to go coach here, or I need you to do this for me. And he did it. The day of that press conference where Eugene said whatever about, he started our third string goalie. Like, what was that? They boarded a flight to, I believe it was Boston. Now, keep in mind, they have been friends for years.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They sat beside each other on that plane and never said a word.
Oh,
Not one word was spoken.
Wow. Yeah,
So
yeah.
just lots of that stuff. But anyway, huge Dave Cameron fan, who was just coach of the year, I think, in the CHL last year, at least in the OHL, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll get him on.
Yeah. Hey, what a streak we're on right now, by the way. Wow. With guests.
What of you showing up? Oh, of guests. I see.
He's showing up. Come on.
Can we just give one shout out to TJ? So, by the way, it is now 7:30 in Edmonton where he is. But so he was up at 5:30 his time to put this show on. He has been without air conditioning in sweltering heat in Edmonton for like 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So he gets Employee of the Month despite it being July 11th.
Wow.
How are the
I
pits,
wouldn't want
TJ?
a live shot of his swass right now, but
Let's get the swass cam.
There'd be some cooking for sure.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
If you think you could get salty, I just, there's places I've been, and when I lived in Maryland, there are places it should not be legal to not have air conditioning. And I don't know how Edmonton's feeling right now, but this little stretch we've had in Ottawa in the last little bit would not have been a whole lot of fun.
DJ just said you don't want to know about the SWAS issues right now.
Okay. Okay, good.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Please keep the entries coming to the contest for golf, which is on September the 5th. Love all of you. Have a great weekend. Thanks, you two, for joining us, and to TJ for getting up early. See you, everybody.
Cheers, boys.
See you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.